Hi, this is Kylie Coo. Welcome to my studio and welcome to week 45 of creating a positivity deck. And the prompt for this week is smiles. So, in many ways, a simple thing to do, to smile, to give someone a smile and to receive a smile, comes at absolutely no cost, and yet it's one of those things that can brighten a rainy day. It can connect strangers and bring people closer together, and whether it's a smile for someone you love or someone you don't know, or whether you receive a smile from someone you love or from someone you don't know, it can bring joy. And a smile may last for only the briefest of moments, perhaps as you walk past someone in the street, but the memory of it can last for hours. It can last for days. It can last for weeks. And in fact, it may stay with you for years. So never underestimate what a smile can do, both for yourself, but also for other people. So today I've taken this it was a piece of drop paper, and it's caddy paper, which is very textured. It's more textured than most watercolour papers, very absorbent, and I was just drawn to this piece today. So what I'm going to do is to put really a good thick layer of the fluid matte medium onto it. I think I go over it twice, and then I'll also put some onto my card and stick them together, and then I will cut round it in the way that I usually do. So the other day I had drawn, and indeed I put up a video of a whimsical girl, and I don't know why, but as I was sitting here doing this, that came back to mind, and I thought, smiles. I feel like doing another kind of whimsical girl. Slightly different, not the same as the Peace Angel, but I'm going to give it a go again. And I think it's perhaps because I really enjoyed doing the one the other day and it was fresh in my memory. And there's just something about this piece of card and about the prompt that just led me in that direction once more. So I'm just taking the outliner from my Inktense pencils, and I'll just draw really the kind of rough shape of the person that I'm going to put into here. And I'm just going to make it kind of head and top of body, almost as if they are leaning in from the side, as if they were almost just kind of popping into a photograph. And I'll just very loosely map out the facial features. Do want to keep it quite whimsical again. Now there's obviously lots of colour sitting already on this card, and I want to use that I don't want to lose it all. I want to keep some of that colour there. I'm not quite sure how it's going to react because I couldn't quite remember what paints were actually on this piece of paper. So I know that when I add water, it might start to react. But I'll just, as I say, go with the flow. So I'm now taking this Baked Earth Inktense, and I'm just going to start to kind of colour the hair a bit. Not quite sure of the style that I'm looking for here, and I know that if I don't like what I do, then I will simply use the water to dilute it as much as possible. But I do like the colour, although it's very similar to the background. It was something about just having that colour that was kind of warm looking, and that was just feeling good. So just going to take this flat brush, just a small brush, just to start to activate the Inktense. And I don't want the hair too precise, so I'm just kind of pulling it out a bit as I activate the Inktense. As I say, I know that it will blend into the background if needs be. And in a sense, just trying to create a bit of movement in the hair. So just showing there that I just use some water just to do that. So just sitting thinking about what next, and I take out this other set of Inktense that I have. I think this was a kind of special edition. I do like Inktense, don't use them often enough really. So this one is Carmine Pink, and it is a very bright colour, but I did want some kind of quite bright rosy cheeks, just to set off her smile. And again, I'll take some water just to activate the Inktense a little bit. This caddy paper, it doesn't actually react in the same way as watercolour does. Watercolour paper does. It's slightly different. I think it tends to grab and hold the colours a bit more. But, you know, I'm happy with it. I like caddy paper, although it's not something that I use a lot. So now just taking that same Carmine Pink and starting to put some colour into her top, just in these broad horizontal stripes. I just felt that putting that same colour on her top just kind of brought everything together a bit more. So again, just using the brush to activate the Inktense. And I like the way that, again, I think it's just because of this type of paper, it's leaving some darker pieces and some lighter pieces where it kind of blends out and into the paper a bit. And I'm pleased with that effect. I'm not looking for anything precise here. I want something that feels a bit more kind of free flowing. So now taking this deep blue colour, and I decide this time that I'm just going to dip it into the water because I'm going to use this for her eyes. So it seemed easier to dip it in rather than put it on dry and then try to wet it with the brush. And I think that gives quite a nice eye colour. And again, I just try and link that into her top. And I'll take a little bit of water again just to blend that out. And I do like the kind of unevenness of this. So again, going back to her hair, just adding more of that baked earth. And again, just trying to get that sense of movement in her hair. Almost just as if she's just kind of popped up and into this card. And you'll see me go back and forward to that quite a bit. So the light had changed a little bit there, you can see the difference. It was dull, then the sun was out, and then it kind of went back in a bit. So just adding the tiniest of eyebrows there, and just kind of having a think to myself about what next. So I decided that I needed to add just a little bit more colour to the face, just to distinguish it a little bit from the background. So taking this ochre and just going to use the kind of blunt end just to put a little bit down. Now you see my brush catches the edge of the eye there just ever so slightly, but that's okay. I just give that a little dab so that it won't spread any further. And then rather than putting the kind of crayon onto the piece, I just use a slightly wet brush and lift some of the colour from the crayon. And as I say, that just helps to distinguish your face just a little bit from the background. And adding a little bit of that into her neck. Now you see there that I was able to touch on the cheeks a little bit. Inktense, once it dries, does not reactivate in the way that watercolours do. Now I'd put a bit of the white Neocolour too just up her nose and onto her forehead there, but it still had some blue on it from the last time that I used it. So, you know, if you use Neocolours and you find that that's the case, then all you need to do is just to take it. It's more, happens more often, I would say, with the white than with any of the other kind of colours. So all I'm doing here is rubbing it on another piece of caddy paper as it so happens, and really the texture of that paper lifts the colour off, so I'm able to get the white down there. Now the one thing I'll say about the caddy paper is if you overwork it with water or other products is it can kind of bobble a little bit. So, you know, if you're looking for something smooth, then this would not be the sort of paper to use. But I think it's a lovely paper. I really enjoy working with it. And although it gives me a very textured effect at the end, I'm really quite happy with that. So just using the antique white a bit there, and I decide that it's maybe just a little bit too white, so just take some of that ochre again and go over it. And that just knocks that white back a little bit. So now just taking a black pen, and I just want to outline really a little bit, and I go cautiously because I don't want it to be too thick, although as is often the case I'll start just gently and then I may go in later and thicken things up a little. And at this point I start to think that she's actually got a kind of mischievous smile about her, but I like it. Again, just introducing a little bit of black into her top, and then using it to just bring out some of the strands in her hair. Decide that her hair needs to be a little bit higher on top, and in a moment I'll go back in with the Baked Earth Inktense just to add a little bit more colour to that. So I will just say at this point, I am a little bit behind in replying to comments, both in the Positivity Deck Facebook group and indeed to comments on YouTube and indeed Instagram. So I will get caught up at some point. Just had a few things on this past week and I have quite a busy week this week ahead, so I will get caught up. But if you can just bear with me meantime, I usually try and answer every comment. If I don't answer a comment, it's for one of those strange YouTube reasons that it just doesn't show up in my kind of comment feed, but I do try and answer everyone, so I will try and get them updated as soon as possible. So I've now taken another Inktense, and this is in Shiraz, the colour Shiraz, and it's a very warm and deep red colour. I just felt that I wanted to keep something that was kind of, it would sit well with the background, you know, it wouldn't be a contrast, but that added a bit more warmth to it. And I just start to blend this out. And this is really one of my favourite Inktense colours. I'm not looking for an even line here, so you'll see that I play about with it, just trying to blend it out in an uneven fashion. Just checking how dry it is. I don't take the heat tool to this at all today. The caddy paper does absorb it, although it is still slightly wet in places. So just taking my white Uniball Signal just to put the little dots of light in her eyes. Just adding a little bit to her nose and just little other dots here and there, again just as if the light was catching bits of her face. And again a little bit into her jumper. And now I'm just going to write the prompt smiles. So the card is still slightly wet there, and the white is blending slightly with the Shiraz. So I do go over it once more. I'll see how much this absorbs into the background once it's fully dry, and if needs be I can go over it again, but you know, if it's not too much, I'm quite happy. I quite like that it's got those little bits of the kind of Shiraz blended in and showing through in places. And that's my card for week 45 for the prompt smiles. So I hope that you get lots of smiles this week and that you have lots to smile about. And remember, make someone's day by giving them a smile. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.